Hello, Facebook. We are live. I'm just waiting for things to come up here. Just kind of, just flipping a few buttons. We're going to start live on the radio station here very shortly. If you guys ever want to catch us, if you can't hear on Facebook or for whatever reason things aren't working right, you can always catch us over live on Eagle Radio at www.eagleradio.com. I want to make sure I turn the volume down on this so we don't get that. All right. So let's see here. Well, I'd like to be able to see comments. I can see comments this way. Trying to play some music here. Why don't we go ahead and get things rolling here, guys? Go ahead and launch this. Get these two things rolling here. All right, start this one. Start this one. We are now live, having a good time. Let's start off with a little music, guys. What do you think? All right, I do not know where my co-host is tonight. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he got eaten by, a groundhog, for all I know. And maybe he was out there and he's been sniping these prairie dog-looking things. And I'm thinking maybe they just ganged up on him. Maybe the ground squirrels just had the better of Ben, and he is, let's see, he is probably eating somewhere. All right, we got a little more music going. Hey there, guys. We got guys from Puerto Rico coming up. In fact, there was a dude from Puerto Rico sent me a message here on Airgun Pro Shop about a gun, and I have been a slacker and have not gotten him the information, so I will do that after the show. I'm just now finally starting to get caught up on some things. Pardon me, I'm just rearranging wires here if you're not seeing and maybe you're hearing. But I'm just now starting to get caught up on some stuff, and we will get back in the swing of things. We will get things caught up, and we will get things out to people, and hopefully we'll be able to get some things, information out. Hey there, Mark from Oklahoma. It looks like we might have somewhat of a comment show today. I had been trying to get a hold of Ben, but I think the prairie dogs or whatever he's out there shooting, I think, like I said, they ganged up on him, and they started a coalition and kind of went out after him, and I think they just took him out. So if Ben remembers that we have a show here at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to keep mentioning that because maybe he'll check his Facebook or something. But if he remembers we have a show here at 8, he can come online and we can jump in. But if he doesn't come, I have done radio before. And let me tell you what, I don't need a co-host. But if anybody here has questions they want to throw them in the chat, we will address them. But before we get started, I'm going to take a drink of this water here. Hold on just a minute. And I'll drop the cap. That's always good. All right. It's bad enough when it's radio, but when it's live radio and also live Facebook, kind of takes things to a next level. I can't have to actually dress to come in the studio. I can't have casual Friday when we have video. Anyway, so first thing I want to talk about, the title of today's show is More is Actually More. That's right, guys. More is more. And what that means is that, let's see here what happened. We lost signal. Let's see. Maybe it'll catch up with us. Anyway, like I said, more is more. And what more is more means is that when you have a company that takes an air gun like the TC35 and they turn it into the TC35 long, you get more. You get more power, you get more range, you get more knockdown, you get more opportunities to shoot different types of pellets, you just get more. And that's exactly what's happened now with the new Gamos, guys. They just came in. They are actually in country. They've been processed. They're going to be shipping soon. I thought that they were going to be maybe a little bit of a delay. So I just posted the video today, say, in the next 60 days or something. But actually, they're going to be shipping very, very soon. So that's awesome. So if you guys are looking for some new big bores to come out, Gamo's got some great ones, and that's really what we're going to be talking about. We've also got some other things that we're going to be hitting. I got somewhat of a list here. Let's see here. I sent it to Ben. That's it. All right, so let's talk about these new big bores. There is the Gamo Big Bore Refresh. So here's the deal. If you haven't seen the video today, go take a look at our YouTube channel. Obviously, it's youtube.com/AirgunWeb, and you can see the video we posted on these new products. So the inventory from late 2017 is gone. And there's a couple refurbs. In fact, we just had an order come into the Pro Shop for a refurb TC45. It's on a pretty good price. So that's a cool thing if you're looking for a 45 cal that's pushing over 400 foot-pounds, looks awesome, shoots great, and has been tested by us and certified for power, range, and accuracy. That's a great value. It's like $900, pretty good deal. But those guns are gone. What we got left for refurbs, that's it. After that, you got to look at the new ones, and the new ones are pretty cool. The new ones are going to have a full shroud. They go right from one end to the other. There's no dip in the middle, no can at the end. The can's actually integrated into the shroud. So what's cool about that is that we've got the 45 is going to be basically the same gun, just looks a little different. It's pushing 411 foot-pounds, topping out at, I should say, I got my paperwork here. Let's see here. Okay, the 350 grains. 350 grains are throwing up to, well, this one's doing 411, and we've seen more than that because that's 728. We were getting 730 something. So that's going to be a little more than 411. And if you want to shoot the 150 grain pellets, those are doing mid-9s, so like 950 with 150 grains. That's smacking. I mean, that is just crushing it. So that's a great option if you want to shoot maybe long range. And those 150 grain pellets really do shoot well out of that gun, so that's a great option there. The 350 grains, what these are, all of the Winchester ammo, you go to the video, you're going to see Winchester. And if you guys know anything about air guns and cast airgun ammo, hey, Dean, if you guys have any questions in the chat, just throw them in there. You guys have any question? If you guys know anything about airgun ammo and you look at the pictures, you're going to say, gosh, that looks just like a Hunter supply bullet. Well, you know what? It is. But it's a special bullet. And what I mean by that is I actually drove last year, middle of last year, when we did our prairie dog hunt. I spent a couple days with those guys going through everything. I mean, we dropped, I don't know how many different size ammos or how many size bullets in each caliber, just raw out of the mold and then sizing them and then testing. And we went through a bunch of different ones. I kind of knew what weight we were looking for and kind of what capabilities we're looking for. Because really I wanted the 35s to work well in the Winchester rifle, and both of those actually do, the 95 and the 127. But we wanted to make sure they were sized right. And so the dropping out of the mold, some were too tight. Some like the sub size 358 were too small. So we kind of did a little bit of testing and trial and error, and we found the shapes, the weight, and the diameter that worked really well in those guns for Gamo and Winchester. So those bullets, if you go and buy just generic, they're not going to be the same bullet. So while they look the same and they really are kind of made in the U.S., made by Hunter Supply for Gamo and Winchester, they are specifically sized and set up for the Gamo and Winchester guns. So a little bit of information there. I think that's important to know. The TC35 Long, that is the one I really want to spend some time on today because that gun is something that I think the market really is going to respond to. So what we've done is the TC45, the big long one, we took that gun and put a 35 cal barrel in it. And both the new guns not only have the new one-piece shroud that is just one long shroud with a gap at the end for the can type thing, keeps the noise down. They also now have a new automatic safety, so when you cock the gun, it puts the safety on. And those guns are pretty important you have that, because if you don't use the safety, it's kind of easy to bump the trigger and it can bite your finger. That's how I got that little mark on my thumb, is the 50 cal bit me. But anyway, that's just my own stupidity because I didn't put the safety on. You get in a hurry and you do kind of stupid stuff like that. Let's see here. I hope, yeah, we got good audio over there. I hadn't checked that here, but hopefully if you guys hear an audio problem or whatever on Facebook or something like that, just call out and let me know that we're having an issue, and I'll take a look at it. Anyway, so they got an automatic safety and they've got the long barrel, and what that means in the 35, and really my goal here is to make these guns legal for hunting and sort of acceptable for hunting. Now, some states have some power requirements that the Winchester is probably never going to hit. And really, you know, it depends on what they're looking for. Like, I think Arkansas has like a 400 foot-pound requirement, which I think is frankly overkill. I mean, if you're hunting bear or elk, sure. But you don't need that for whitetail. You just don't. And there's so much evidence that says so that you just don't need it. So It's unfortunate that they set such a high mark, but I understand the people that are pushing the law over there have a gun that's going to be pushing 600 foot-pounds. So it makes sense. Hey there, John from Brazil. Very, very cool to have some people all over the world. That's awesome. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so, but here in Texas, which is a great reservoir of hunters. I mean, Texas is a big hunting state, and now that air guns are legal, that happened sort of end of last year. Their requirements, I think, are pretty reasonable. They want to see a 30 caliber shooting 150 grain, minimum 30 caliber shooting 150 grain at 800 feet per second, which is about 800. About four. I'm gonna do my math in my head. Forgive me. 212 foot-pounds. So 150 doing 800, about 212. So if you've got something or any combination of that 30 cal or upwards that's doing more than 212 foot-pounds, that's actually legal to be. It's going to be legal to hunt with here in Texas. And that was really the goal, is Gamo and Winchester have 4 big bores. They have the Winchester 35 and 45, and the Gamo has the TC 35 and 45. The original TC 35 was never, ever, ever, ever going to be jacked up enough to produce the kind of power to make it legal. I love that gun personally. For a predator gun, pest gun, the thing is awesome. I dropped a coyote. You guys hopefully saw that episode first of the year. It was awesome. I mean, absolutely rocked its world. Hey there from New Zealand. Hey, Phil. If you guys have questions, just throw them up there in the chat. I will try and pay attention to it. And if my wife is watching, and she's usually pretty good about paying attention to stuff like that, and she sees it, she'll text me or something to tell me to pay attention to what the heck's going on. Anyway, so I love the short TC-35. It's one of my favorite guns. Shot count. It's not super powerful, but it's really accurate. Just super compact, super lightweight. I love that gun. But I wanted them to have a 35 cal that would be legal to hunt with in Texas. I think that's awesome, and that's what the TC-35 long brings to the table. We're talking some serious energy here. In a 35 cal, and I've got the numbers here. So when you put like the 81 grain pellets, which shoots those like a laser beam, 50 yards, you'll just stack them in a hole. You're looking at 1,040, 1,035, 1,040 feet per second with an 81 grain pellet. That's pretty smoking. Actually, it's a little fast for pellets. Let's drop down. I mean, that's pushing almost 200 foot-pounds, just so you know. It's like 192, some change. So if we go to like the 95 grain, and that's going to be the Winchester 95 grain. It's a hollow point, and it's doing 992 feet per second. We're talking 207 foot-pounds. And at that velocity, that hollow point is going to give us some expansion, which I'm super excited to see. I'm actually looking to do some ballistics testing pretty soon here, and we're going to grab some ballistics gel, going to back up maybe 35, 40 yards, hit it with that 95 grain coming out of the TC-35 long, and see what we get. And I'm pretty excited to see what kind of thump we're going to get out of that, because realistically, we're pushing close to 1,000 foot per second. I mean, just think of that for a minute. Cast slug, 1,000 foot per second. All right, that is like seriously lethal. That is awesome, and in a hollow point, no less. So that I'm pretty excited about. You go up to like the 127. Now that's when the math starts to come into play, where the 127 flat point with that TC-35 long gets into that legal in Texas sort of area. It's shooting still over in like the low 9s. Like it starts out with 946 and drops out about 901. So, this is getting a lot. It's like 252 foot-pounds with a 35 caliber slug, 127 grain. We go up to the 150 Wad-Cutters, and these are some of my favorite bullets. They look like a little piece of rebar and just cut, and they're just flat. And when they hit stuff, my goodness, do they hit hard. Those things are awesome. They're pushing 256. And if you want to get really crazy, you can go up to like the Hunter Supply 190 grain. And that bullet is doing 800 feet per second. And it's doing 270 foot-pounds. So we've got now a 35 cal long gun, lightweight, pretty fun to shoot, gets good shot count, maybe 5 to 10 shots, depending on your bullet. You shoot a lot of pellets and a good number of cast slugs. And the first time I had a guy come out here, and we were testing that 35 cal. Some boys from Louisiana. I don't know if they're watching today, but Justin and you guys, Michael, hi you guys. They're going to be starting a pretty cool airgun shop down there. So kind of cool to see how that's going to come out. Anyway, excuse me there. I had to get a drink. Anyway, they were out here and they were shooting the 190s, and I said, well, hold over about 2 mils or whatever. And son of a gun, he hit this 4-inch plate at 112 yards and hit it so doggone hard it flipped it up around the it flipped it up around the sawhorse. So not only is it powerful, but it's actually really accurate. And here's what this gun brings to the table for us hunters that like to shoot predators. So or just longer range. The issue you have with these big bore guns, these big bore air guns, especially some of the ones that are like the Winchesters or the TC-45 shoot a big heavy bullet, or even the Texans shoot a big heavy bullet, you have flight time, which is an issue. So by the time you pull the trigger and the rapport of the rifle, it's going to go faster than the bullet, and then the animal hears it, the animal moves, and if they move even a couple inches, then your shot, if you're aiming for a vital shot or even a headshot, you don't hit it clean, and that's a real problem. And people don't think of that when they're out hunting big game with these big guns, is the flight time of the projectile. So, you know, if you are going to take that shot and that bullet's a slow moving bullet, and you're thinking, oh, I can hit accurately at 75 yards, I'm sure you can. I mean, the TC-45 shooting a 35 grain slug, I can keep a group about like that at 100 yards, unless if you guys are on radio, it's about 3.5 inches, which if you got an 8-inch kill zone, that's a dead whatever. So, but if they move a couple inches, all of a sudden that doesn't become a kill shot. It becomes just a wounding, and now you got to track the animal and finish the job, because once you pull the trigger, you own that game. That's my opinion. Okay, so if that's not what you do, then maybe you need to think about another sport, because the last thing we need as the industry is a bunch of air gunners going out and just wounding stuff. That's really not what we can't be about that. We have to be able to put things down. Sue was asking me a question. Am I talking about the TC-35? Yeah, well, yes, TC-35 is now the TC-35 long. So the TC-35 is kind of shelved probably for this season. If you guys liked that gun, want to bring that back, I'm sure they will. And there's a couple other little tricks we have up our sleeve for this year. Maybe later this year with the whole TC line. Can't really talk about them right now, but if things go well, I think it'll be pretty cool. Let's just say that there's a possibility of a modular concept. How's that? Can I say that? Well, I've already said it, so there you go. Anyway, back to flight time, back to the TC-35 long. When you're looking at 1,000 foot or 9-something foot per second, that's very close to the speed of sound, which is 1,100. So sure, the sound's still going to be a little bit in front of that bullet, but the time from they hear the sound to where it impacts is much shorter. I mean, the space is tiny compared to like a 700 grain or 700 foot per second bullet. So you can actually get that shot out to 100 yards and actually stay lethal and actually stay ethical. So that's what the TC-35 long brings to the table. So if you're hunting coyotes, we were shooting the 95 grains at 112 yards, which is as far as my range will go. And it was getting there extremely quickly. I mean, really, really fast. As fast as I've ever seen a big bore get from point A to point B, it got there. So that was pretty exciting to see just how quickly those pellets were getting on target. So TC-35 long, again, more is more. Guys, that is pretty awesome. If you're into that, then there's going to be a great opportunity for you to pick up a very, very cool gun. Again, you guys ain't got any questions here? We got some people watching from all over, which is very awesome. Glad to have everybody on the show today. Hop on, ask some questions. We are happy to answer whatever you got. I'll either say, yes, I can give you an answer, or I will say, I don't know. Either way, we'll talk to you. So the next thing that more is more, the next gun that we put some time into was the Winchester 45. Now, the Winchester 45, based off of Evanex design, all of these are based off of Evanex guns. The 45 last year, when we're talking about legality in Texas, we wanted, hello, Joseph, we wanted a 150 grain projectile doing 800 feet per second. Well, Gosh, we were so close. We're so close. I mean, that's 212 foot-pounds. And last model, Winchester 45, was doing 203, 204. It's about all I could squeak out of it. But we were like this close. I mean, we're so close to having that be a legal gun in Texas. So went back to the drawing board and said, all right, how do we get a little more energy out of this gun? And then we did a few tweaks to the design, did a few tweaks to the mechanics of it, and we're getting way more than we need. Now we are at that. We're getting 815 to 818 feet per second, and we're able to keep like 5 shots out of the magazine that shoot over 800 feet per second. So that's golden. So 150 grain pellets what we're shooting, and we're getting 220-ish foot-pounds, and we're meeting all the spec, which is really ideal. I mean, that's what we wanted. So now we've got a very traditional multi-shot 45 cal that's going to be legal to hunt with in Texas, and it's super fun to shoot. Now, the one thing they did, honestly, I'm a little on the fence about it. It was not really something I wanted, but it was one of the things that we thought maybe it would be worthwhile doing, and that was they put a can on the end of it, an integrated can to the shroud, and because we had to up the power in the gun, it made it really, really loud. And if you have like the previous model and this model with the can is probably louder than the last model without the can. But if you shot this model without the can, you would go, holy crap, that's really loud. So it does help. It does take the edge off the shot. But none of these big bores, and I have really never seen a big bore that's what you would call, quote, backyard friendly. So all of these guns, they're pushing a lot of air. They're pushing a big bullet, and they make noise. So just kind of go into it, understanding that. But the 45 cal Winchester now is going to give you some great accuracy and great power, and we're shooting over 800 feet per second. For me, my opinion is it's still a 50-yard gun, but it's a 50-yard gun with a lot more bite, and that 150 grain pellet that we've got worked out is just shooting really, really well. Again, I went to New Mexico and worked with those guys to, in fact, a little funny story. My wife's saying, can you call in and Skype? They could if they're friends with me on Skype already. It's something we can do. We'll save that for the next show. If you have questions, just throw them in the chat. But if you guys would like to Skype live on the show, that's certainly something we can do. You set that up. I don't know. Let's see, which account am I signed into? My wife was telling me I was signed into the wrong account. No, I'm into the right account. I don't know what she was thinking. David, if you're out there watching and want to get on here, I haven't talked to you in forever. You've got my Skype number. You can give me a call if you want. If you want to jump on here and talk a little bit about air guns, feel free. We've got another 38 minutes to go. Anyway. And I'm going to run out of water. Where was I anyway? I'm talking about something. I got distracted over there. Anyway, we're going to move on. So they've got the same TC45, TC35 long. The 35 is now 35 long. 45's been bumped up. Oh, talking about the moderator. The 35, the Winchester 35 is basically the same gun. I think he's putting out like a little bit. So we were like 130 foot-pounds. Now we're like 140. So it's pretty close. It's got a can on the end. That one does seem pretty quiet for the most part. Going to be a great gun. That gun is going to be great if you're out predator hunting. I mean, I can just see that for fox, bobcat, coyote. All of that is going to be absolutely on the table. And I know that it's going to be a great coyote gun because I took a coyote with the TC35, which is only doing 120 foot-pounds, and the Winchester's doing 140. So that's going to have a lot more smack to it. So I'm pretty excited to get that out. In fact, I'm trying to plan a coyote hunt right now for showing later in the year. But we'll see how that plays out. All right, guys, I think we'll take a little bit of a break. I'll play a song here, a little music, if I can figure out what we got here online, what I can throw on the screen here. Let's see. All right, a little 60-second break here, and I'll be right back. All right, a little bit of a break there. Let's see here. Get this to stop it from playing the next song. Awesome. Okay. Let's move on to our next topic. We have talked about the Gamo big bores. More is more, and that's a big deal. And I don't know if I cut out or what happened when I started up here again. All right, we do have a question. Excellent. Let me address this question. Dean asks, yes, I just got a text. See? She is like, that's what you call a good helpmeet. She's telling me I got something going on here. Thank you very much, Sue. All right, so Dean asks, this is about the Rex guns. Are the triggers improved? Yes. That was a big deal. Now, if you guys know anything about what's going on in my life here, we've got Airgun Pro Shop. It's something we acquired a little while back. I actually started it and then sold it and then got it back. So there's kind of back and forth with that. Kind of took it on. I used tooken. What a word. I'm going to get slapped later by the grammar Nazi. Anyway, I took on that business again and really want to see something happen with it. And when you get something from Airgun Pro Shop, we actually go through it before we ship it. So not everybody has time to take every gun out of the box and check it. But we take the time to take everything out of the box and check it because we can't afford to take returns. One, because we get killed on anything that has to come back. But we want to make sure that you're happy with it. So we check the triggers. We'll go through and make sure that everything's working the way it's supposed to work, which is, I think, very important. If you're going to spend $1,000 on a gun, it should do what you expect it to do out of the box. And if it's not going to do it, then we're not going to send it to you. We'll just refund you. So it's something very important. But even if you had bought like one of the first models TCs, we always set the triggers. So we go through and make sure all the parts are right. We have spare parts so that if something's not right, we can address it before it goes out the door. And all the triggers we sent out were pretty doggone good. The new Rex, or the new TCs that are coming out, the triggers are better. And that was a really, really important thing. We went back to Evan and said, look, we got to have these better. They got to have more consistency. They can't be stiff and hard and have these problems. So worked out really good. And the new guns that we have coming through, they still need a little adjustment, which you can do pretty easily, but they're better than they were, and you can actually have some adjustments. So the new ones we got now, they're a couple pounds, they're pulling smooth, and they're not hanging up on us. And it certainly doesn't give you any issues when trying to take the gun out and do some shooting. So trigger's not going to be a problem with these, which is awesome. To me, that's really cool. And also the thing we did is we incorporated that automatic safety. So now when you cock the gun, it puts the gun on safe, which with these guns is super important. Some people don't like the automatic safety because they think it's a pain in the butt. In this gun, I want it because you get in a hurry and you forget, and that breech is wide open, and you bump the trigger or something, and that hammer comes back and bites you. It ain't no fun. And it's not their fault. They say put the safety on, and if you do, it won't do that. So now the safety's automatic, which I think is really cool. So yeah, Dean, as far as the trigger goes, I think you're going to be a lot happier with it. If anybody out there is interested in getting one of these new guns that are just out, we're taking pre-orders on the website, www.airgunproshop.com. And yeah, I was talking to my contact at Gamo Daisy the other day. They have been cleared, and they're starting to ship. So we're like right now. They're available. So orders placed today. We'll probably get inventory in a week or so. We'll go through them, make sure they're shooting right, put a scope on them, test them, and then check them for leaks, all that kind of stuff we do, and then they go out the door. It takes a little longer if you order a gun from us. It takes a little extra time, but the reason we do that is because we don't want to have anything go out the door that isn't right. So we even kind of cost a little bit more, but you're getting a higher level service. So that's what you're getting anyway. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. If you guys have questions, throw them in the chat, and we will get to them. All right, so I had some topics here. Talked about the big bores. Let's talk about what we got on the project list right now. So one of the guns I think you guys have really been wanting to know about, and before I butcher the name, I'll pull it up because I don't want to muck it up. But it's the new SIG brake bill. It's the AS something 20 AP. I don't know. Let me pull it up here. Let's see. That's what Pyramid Air. I couldn't remember the name of Pyramid Air. Go figure. That was crazy. All right. Let's see. We're going to go SIG. SIG. Oh, yeah. Okay. It's the ASP20, AS20 or ASP. So the P must be the synthetic polymer. And then you have just the AS20, which is the wood stock. I have the wood stock in, yeah, they're both, no, okay, it's ASP20. Okay, I thought maybe P for polymer, but no. All right, so you have the ASP20, one's in polymer, one is in like a beach sort of laminate looking type stock. I think it might just be straight beach. So brand new brake barrel, expensive too. I mean, you got everybody in the industry going to cheap PCPs, and here SIG comes out with an expensive brake barrel. It doesn't seem to really make a lot of sense until you shoot it. And that makes perfect sense because I'm shooting the 177, and 25 yards, it's one hole in pretty much. We're talking maybe 3/8 inch groups, and pardon me, as much PCP shooting as I've been doing, I'm sort of out of practice on the brake barrels, but this thing is like not a problem. I'm super excited to see how well this gun is doing. I threw a hawk scope on it, and within a few shots was dead nut center, and it's just stayed there. So at 50 yards, I think this might be a 1-inch at 50-yard brake barrel. And I get a chuckle out of some people, especially when we post videos and we're kind of showing you like we're showing the evolution of our learning process with the gun, where when we first pull it out of the box, I mean, it doesn't shoot great. We don't shoot it great, and it takes a little while to get used to it, and we watch our groups sort of shrink and so forth. Most of the times when a reviewer is going to review the gun, they got 3 to 4 minutes to show you about them. They're not going to show you the 50 targets that look like crap. They're going to show you the 1 or 2 that looked awesome. So I find it kind of funny that people get upset about seeing a group that's less than optimal, because guess what, the optimal groups, they do happen, but they're not every time. And so when I'm talking about accuracy at range, I look at like the kind of accuracy you could expect to get like all the time, not like 1 out of 50, but like if I'm going to go shoot, like, let's say I want to shoot at 100 yards, and I've got this thing, I'm trying to find a true 1 MOA at 100 yards air gun, and I haven't found it. And I've shot hundreds of air guns, and sure, it could be me. I mean, I'm not saying I'm like the perfect, awesome shot. I'm not. I'm not a terrible shot, and I'm probably average at least. I would think that I'm at least an average shot. I've not found an air gun that consistently can do 1 MOA or sub MOA at 100 yards. Now, I don't have to sort and weigh pellets either. I want to just be able to open a tin, put pellets in it, and shoot the doggone thing, and not have to spend 3 hours to go think about shooting. To me, that's not enjoyable. I want to be able to pull out a tin of pellets, put it in a magazine or single shot tray, doesn't matter to me, and be able to shoot quarters at 100 yards reliably. Now, I don't think that's too much to ask. But it has proven to be difficult. It has proven to be quite difficult. And I haven't found a gun that'll do it. I have people that say they can do it with, a brake barrel. And I think they're smoking stuff in a state that's legal to smoke marijuana. I don't know what else to say. I've never seen a brake barrel consistently do 1 inch at 50 yards, much less at 100. I've gotten the occasional 1 inch group at 50 yards with a brake barrel or a Springer or something, but consistently, no, I have not seen it. So obviously I haven't shot every air gun, and probably there are some out there that can do it. I have a Walther Lgu. No, did I sell that one? I did sell that one. Noah's got it. I'm going to see Noah shortly. Noah, you should be watching the show, buddy. Anyway, Noah's been cutting playing cards in half with that rifle. But the Walther Lgu, now that gun was a 1 inch at 50 yards. RWS 460 was a 1 inch at 50 yards pretty reliably. If the conditions weren't crazy, you can do 1 inch with that gun pretty normally. TX 200s, another 1 inch. Now these guns are all, $500, $700, $800 guns. And here SIG's got a gun that's coming in at, around 4. If you get the polymer under 4, that's doing 1 inch at 50. That's in 177 no less. To me, that's pretty impressive. And what they've done with the gun is pretty cool. I mean, it's got some weight to it. Feels like it's got great build quality. I got to adjust the trigger. It's a little hard out of the box. Pulls a little more than I'd like. But they got this really cool way, the way the gun locks up. If you've got a break barrel gun, the thing that plagues break barrels, especially the cheap imports, Chinese imports, they don't line up. I mean, at some point, something in that joint wears out. Whether it's like Crossman's famous for using plastic bushings, and they wear out over time. That's why there was that, the gentleman, one of the guys there, the GTA was making the brass bushings, and I would replace those in a Crossman gun, just completely change the gun, and those never wore out. But the plastic ones, they do eventually sort of wear. Gamo, look, I love Gamo. They're a sponsor, but they use a plastic breech block, and over time that joint gets weak. Now, when I say over time, it's relative. Yes, it's relative, because their studies show, and it's pretty true, that the average purchaser of a Gamo class, Crossman class, Walmart break barrel will never shoot that gun more than a couple thousand times. And within that time, joint's perfectly fine. But if you're an enthusiast like me, or like you guys who are probably, if you're listening to me ramble for an hour, you're definitely got nothing better to do, but you're definitely an enthusiast of the sport, I'm thinking, then you're going to I'll shoot 500 rounds in a weekend, easy. So for us, that joint becomes super critical. And what SIG has done is they've developed a way so when the rifle closes, it's actually wedged, and it can't move. It just, hanging loose, it flops around. It's kind of funny because it's got quite a bit of play when it's just hanging there. But when it closes, it locks dead straight every single time. So it eliminates the downward drooping barrel that you have like the RWS and those other guns. It eliminates that, and it eliminates that weak joint, so that it's easy to cock, it's easy to return, and it locks up clean every single time. And that's where they're getting their accuracy. I believe that's where they're getting their accuracy. They also have a gas ram in it, and the gun is not super light. It's actually pretty heavy. So you got a lot of very cool things going on with this gun. It's going to be one of my next reviews. Right now, I've got a pistol review coming out on a Colt Python. And that's a pretty, that gun we've talked a lot about. That gun has been reviewed ad nauseum. But what I got into at this particular video, it's coming out next Monday, by the way. Excuse me, hold on. Nope. All right, never mind. We're going to really be talking about the different ammo. So I shoot 4 different BB types, and the results were pretty surprising. As we shot Dust Devils, we shot the Excite Smart Shot, we shot the Umarex Precision, like zinc coated, the shiny silver ones, and then we shot the Hornady Black Diamond. And you would think BBs are BBs, but well, you just have to watch the video and find out if BBs are really BBs. No, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to make you watch it. Okay, this water is done, and I might need more before the end of the show here. Okay, so, pardon me, that was a little bit loud. Didn't mean to do that. So projects on the list, we've got the new SIG coming out. We've got the Colt Python coming out. We're talking about the different BBs there. The other thing we got going on is both Ben and I are shooting a lot with the new FIREARMS Ultimate Sporter XS. This is a regulated S510 Ultimate Sporter, and the gun is just exceptional. Anytime you get an opportunity to shoot an FIREARMS anyway, you see they're pretty doggone exceptional. They just are really, really good. Now Ben's been shooting in 22, kind of looking to get into seeing if he can get that gun to really calm down, settle in, and give him the results he wants to be competitive at EBR. And we're kind of working on that. I was hoping he could kind of report on that for us tonight, but Ben's a no-show. So I've been shooting the 25, and I think the 25 got some real potential. I haven't unlocked all the secrets yet, but I think where I'm running into the issue is really my shooting platform. I did a video, when was it? It might have been the 1st of April. I did a video with that gun, and I was trying different ways to shoot it, I had a Caldwell turret. I had some bags, different ways I kind of braced the gun, and it all came down to the platform I was using to shoot on, not the rest itself, but the table was moving. If you have just a fraction of movement where you're shooting, that means there's a lot of movement where you're landing. So I got to do something about getting it super stable, which maybe I may just need to shoot prone, and I'm still pretty fat, so I don't know if that shooting prone is something I want to do. No, look at this. Delivery. I got water delivery from my little girl. You want to come over here and say hi? There she is. She's hi. There, she just said hello. That's Naomi. You doing what? Okay, go finish your movie. See ya. We got a big day going out to town tomorrow. Thank you, New. So, very, very cool. Ah, that's nice. For some reason, just super dry. All right. So, I think what I'm going to need to do is just come up with something that gives me a really, really stable shooting platform and take the variances, take that out of the equation. So that's going to be my next thing. I'm going to be shooting that. Probably going to be shooting that video. This next week looks pretty good. We've had some nasty winds here. I should have taken some video footage because it was crazy. I mean, we probably had 60, 70 mile an hour gusts. I mean, it was like complete dust out. You couldn't see across the parking lot hardly. Just the dust was brutal. Anyway, we get a good, solid shooting stable, stable shooting table, then I think we'll be able to get better results. And so I'm kind of excited about that. That should be pretty cool. Let's see if there's anything else that we've got going on. Ben's doing EBR. I'm working with that. I've also got the Brocock I've been working with. The Sniper HR just did a video earlier this week on that gun. And that gun's starting to sort of come together, you know, learning how to get the most accuracy out of that. We're going to be trying the muzzle brake and what they call it, 0 dB moderator here coming up. I also have some Triton DBs, but I think those are in 22. I don't know that they'll work. They won't. Yeah, they won't work. I have a 25 Brocock sniper. All right, so I have to use the moderator they sent me, which is 0 dB, and they've got the muzzle brake. So the next video is we're going to look at the scope with their first focal plane scope, and we're going to look at if those moderator, either the moderator or the muzzle brake, makes any difference in the accuracy of the gun. I don't know yet. I haven't even shot them to see what would happen, but that's what our next video on that product is going to be about. Now, let's see what else we had on the list here. We talked about what's coming up next. We talked about Gamo big bores. All right. Next Friday, we've got the next episode of AirgunWebTV coming out. And hold on just a minute, folks. I hate to do this because it's on camera, but I need to blow my nose. Hold on just a minute. Oh, sorry for that. Anyway, so we got our next episode coming out next week. Now, on this episode, you're going to see several things. You're going to see the next generation of the Gamo Swarm. Now, what's cool about this? All right, so the Gamo Swarm came on the scene. If you guys don't know what that is, you must have just crawled out from under a rock because Sue was just saying that I live in the desert, desert's dry. Yes, it is. So, when you cock the gun with the Gamo Swarm, it's got a magazine on it, so you're no longer having to fumble in your pocket and load a pellet one by one. That's awesome coolness. And they were really the first company that came out with a model that worked reliably by the thousands. I mean, thousands upon thousands worked reliably. And the magazines were cheap. The mechanism worked great. Just a really, really stable product. So that was awesome. A lot of people have tried to catch up to that. And I don't know that anybody has done it as well as they've done it yet. We'll see. We've got some people still trying to play catch up on their guns. But what they've done this next year is they have the second generation, and they put it on my favorite Gamo platform. Save the underlevers. It'd be great if they did an underlever again. But anyway, hold on just a minute. All right, so the platform they put it on is you had like the Maxim, which is their 1,000 foot per second standard gun. You had the Magnum, which is this like crazy, insane cocking force, close to 30 foot-pounds, brutal gun. I mean, it's just no fun to shoot. It's accurate, powerful, but it's just too much of a workout for me. You know, if you're young and you go to the gym all the time, that gun's probably great. You probably love it. But for me, it's just too much. But right in the middle, they had that Mach 1 something or other. It was just, I love that gun. It was a little bit more power than the standard gun, a little less power than the Magnum, and it just sat right there in the middle, and it just was a great balance. It was lightweight, easier to cock, still generated 20 plus foot-pounds, maybe 22, 23 in that range. And it was just a great gun. Well, now they've got the second generation Swarm going on that platform. And what they've done, you'll see this in the video. It comes out next Friday. Next Friday, 7 o'clock, you can catch that. So the magazine sits like this. Instead of sitting like this in the breech, so when you cock it, it goes down and puts the pellet in. The magazine actually sits like this. So when you cock the gun, it rotates. It's actually, I think it rotates this way. It rotates into place. So as you cock the gun, it pushes the pellet in. And when you pull the gun back, it rotates back. I mean, it's wild when you look at it. When I tell you online, it's literally mind blown. It's pretty cool. When you cock it, it flips over. What this does, okay, this lets them put back on the regular open sights. So when you have the Swarm mechanism, you have this big sort of thing sticking up there, you got no place for the open sights. I mean, you could put open sights, but they'd be like that tall off the barrel. That's not what you want. And that's what other people have done. They've just had these ridiculous high, skyscraper sights on their brake barrels, which looks kind of silly. These actually are the same metal, micro-click, fine, Gamo's always had some really good fine fiber optic sights. I mean, they're not using these fence posts that other people are using. They're using some really good materials in their open sights. So you're going to have a fiber optic front, fiber optic rear, micro-click adjustable, and these are going to be back on this gun with the Swarm. So I think that's awesome, because when you're out hunting, let's say you want to go out and hunt squirrel, or like when we go to Squirrel Master Classic, those videos are coming up after, excuse me, after these next ones, after this next Final SHOT Show video. When you go out and hunt these things, look, man, I mean, if you're out clearing squirrels, they don't give you that perfect sit there for 5 seconds while you get your time to take the perfect headshot. It doesn't happen. These things are moving. So we're oftentimes shooting them on the run. Now, for you guys, people that are like, oh, you can't do that, it's not, look, the squirrels get collected, they get cleaned, and they have a big squirrel dinner with all the squirrels, so just chill out about that. But with a scope, it limits your field of view. It's a little bit harder, but if you had open sights, you may have a better opportunity to hit those. When I went iguana hunting, this gun, I think, would be just the ticket for iguana hunting in Puerto Rico. So any of you guys in Puerto Rico that want to have AirgunWeb come out and see you, email me, because I would love to do a trip, maybe not this year, but maybe early next year. I know it doesn't get very cool there. The cooler the better as far as I'm concerned. But we'll go out there and hunt iguanas, because the Swarm, like this new Swarm, would be like the ticket, man. I mean, you've got plenty of power. You're not shooting like forever stupid long. Where we were up in the jungle area, up looking into the trees, and we were only shooting 20 or 30 yards. Open sights would be ideal. In fact, when I went there, I shot PCPs. I got bored trying to find air all the time, so I grabbed a brake barrel and it was a Hatsan 87, a QE. God, that was a really nice gun. Anyway, went down into the woods and just cleared out the iguanas with open sights in a 22, shooting hornets. Gosh, those are awesome, H&M Hornets. Anyway, that was a ton of fun, and I think something like that would be just a hoot with that new Gamo, second generation Gamo Swarm, because you have a little more power, but you've also got that profile where you can have reasonably useful open sights. Gun's super lightweight. That'd just be a hoot. So you're going to see, we're talking a little bit about that. We're going to go over the Gamos, the big bore stuff, which we've already done today. We're going to go over to the Hawk booth too. Now, Hawk's got some new scopes for this year. Their Air Max, they're actually, what do they call it? The Air Max 30. I think that's the one. I think it is the Air Max 30. They have now the Air Max Compact. So the Air Max 30 is kind of this big, high-powered rifle scope. They've kind of kept all the features, all the cool stuff, but they've shrunk it and made it a lot lighter. Still side focus, still illuminated, still great reticle, but a lot lighter in a smaller, compact form. That scope, when those are available, we're going to be getting some of those and putting those on our air guns as soon as they're in country. Those are going to be awesome. And price point on those would be really under $400. So really good glass, really good form factor, lightweight, which is something I really am becoming to appreciate the more and more I get out there. The more and more I get out there and hunting, I don't want to be carrying around a big heavy gun. The lighter, more nimble I can be, happier I am, especially when I'm out there all day. Let's see, we got anything going on here? Nope. All right, any questions? Just throw them in there, guys. We got about 11 minutes to go here, but I'm just going to keep on going. So the next thing, let's see what else with Hawk. Was there anything else? They've got a complete new refresh of the Frontier line. Last year they did the Endurance line. This year they're doing their full refresh of the Frontiers, which is going to be pretty awesome because the Frontier is like their top shelf product. And if you haven't looked through one of those scopes, it's pretty awesome. I'm becoming more and more a fan of first focal plane now. I was hoping Ben would have been on here to talk about that because he just posted a video, and here's a little thing. We've got a new channel we're starting called Shooting Gear Reviews. It's on Facebook and it's on YouTube. So you can look up Shooting Gear Reviews. It's all together, and I can maybe put a link on this when I'm done, or the video when I post it on the YouTube channel. But the Shooting Gear Reviews channel is pretty doggone cool, and we're going to have just a lot of just stuff that is not just generic promotional review kind of stuff. It's going to be just straight review stuff. We're not trying to promote a product. We're not trying to promote a direction. We're not getting paid to do so. We're just throwing content up there we think is useful. And one of the things he just posted was the difference between first focal plane and second focal plane. So he had been shooting and working with the bench rest stuff, and he had a 50 power scope. I sent him my Sidewinder ED, which is a $1,000 scope, ED glass, just awesome scope. And he zoomed all the way into 50. He says, I don't have enough up adjustment. I said, well, yeah, because you're zoomed into 50 and you're on a second focal plane. And what happens is that when you zoom in, your reticle doesn't change. So your image changes, which means the spacing between your mil dots changes. So what was like on 4 power, 3 mils may be this big, but at 50 power, 3 mils may be like that big. So it just changes the whole dynamic of how you have to use the scope. Well, a first focal plane, the reticle stays constant, whether you're at 4 power or 24 power. The reticle is the same. What that means is that when you're zoomed all the way out, the reticle is like that big. When you zoom all the way in, it fills the field of view. So the cool thing about that is that if you have set up your gun and you know that at 50 yards, you're at 50 yards at 4 power, you're 3 mils high. Well, you can zoom all the way into 12 power, and at 50 yards, you're still going to be that same number of mils high. The mil dots stay consistent. There's some pretty cool things about both types of scopes. The first focal plane is generally a little more money, and if you're coming from the second focal plane to the first focal plane, it takes a little getting used to. I'll tell you that once you do get used to it, you just sort of never want to go back to the other. The other is just more work, and I understand that now. I didn't in the beginning, but I certainly do now. Let's see. We got a message that's come through here. Let's see. No, that is not anything I need to do. That's not a legitimate message. Okay. So, first focal plane, second focal plane. Hawk's got some new first focal plane stuff. They've got the Sidewinder. They've got the Frontier. And there's some of my favorite scopes. So, I love the first focal plane stuff. All right. Anything else here on the list? So, we've got Hawk first focal plane. Oh, yes. Back to SHOT Show video. We have the last booth we talked to was the FIREARMS booth, and they are always just a lot of fun every single year. We get to hang out with Claire and Sheila, and they're just super nice. They take really good care of us. They're a big sponsor of our channel and what we're doing both on AirgunWeb and AirgunWebTV. Ben's doing a whole series for them this year. He's doing a video a month, and they're also sponsoring a couple episodes. So not only do we really appreciate them from that perspective, but they make some really nice air guns. And when you get into that price point of air guns, 1,000 plus, it better be nice, and they do consistently, just awesome. So very traditional. They're not into the tactical stuff. So if you're like the tactical kind of guy, FIREARMS is probably not for you. But if you're traditional and you like just quality, then they're right up your alley. And when you look at the pricing, compared to some of the other stuff, the pricing is actually pretty good for what you're getting. So they're coming out with a lot of regulated stuff now. I have my own feelings on that. We might have talked about that last time, where kind of on the fence. I think if you're bench shooting for competition, regulation, having a regulator gun is sort of a necessity. But if you're just shooting and you're hunting, I think a regulator is added expense and complexity that you really don't need. That's just my personal opinion. Throw in here, you like it, don't like it, doesn't matter. Hey there, Jason. Glad you joined us. We're about to wrap up here, but you're able to catch up on the show. We'll be posting it on YouTube, and you can always watch it here on Facebook. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and jump in. Now, we normally run an hour, but if somebody's got a question, we go over, it's not a big deal because I own both the radio station and this is my channel, and I can do what I want. So there you go. All right. So on the AirArms side of things, new this year, they're going to have the regulated version of their TDR. That's something we're going to be getting at some point. Excited about that. The TDR is already awesome because they took it from the basic TDR. They had the rear bolt. Did it have a rear bolt? It did. It did. You had to go way back. The new one is the S510. So it's side lever. Awesome. So the new one is going to be the same side lever, variable power, regulated, hard shell case, all the goodness that you would want in that type of a package. Ultra lightweight, and it's going to come in a soft touch black stock. They're calling it the tactical, and God love them, but their idea of tactical is just spray paint a woodstock black, and that's tactical. But they are some real dear friends, so I like to pick on them about that. But anyway, they are calling it the TDR tactical, which is fine. It is going to be a really great gun, and I have the regular TDR, the S510 from last year, and it is one of my favorite guns to throw in the truck and go hunting with because it weighs so little and gets such great performance, and it's just really, really stable. The one thing they did this year on both last year the TDR and this year on their new models is they put an indexer on the power adjuster. So when you switch from power to power to power to power, somebody says, I can't own pretty air rifles. I feel bad if it got scratched. Yeah, I get it. They are for shooting, and sometimes that happens, so you just got to kind of roll with it. But it's one of those things that you sort of come to grips with over time. But the indexing power adjuster is cool because before it was sort of just would move freely, and it could get bumped and move, and it can cause you to actually miss a shot if you're not paying attention to it. But now it actually has a positive click, and it's pretty awesome. So anyway, I guess that's going to be about it, guys. We got about 2 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, let's throw them out there. Tell you what I'm going to do real quick here. I'm going to clear out the pipes for a second, and we'll throw a little 60-second music up here. And let's see here. We will go with, this one, a little Southern Rock. All right, guys. Well, no more. I don't know. Did we get any questions here? No questions. So that means we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. We got about 1:10 to go. And Ben was a no-show. So what I'd like to do, anybody that's watching this or listening to this, I'd like you to think of some sort of penance that we're going to need to have Ben perform for missing the show today. Unless he's got a good reason, and he probably does. But if he doesn't, we got to think of something that he's got to do that's going to be really humiliating for missing a show and making me do it all by myself. So let's think of it. You guys have an idea. Let's go ahead and put them up here. Send me a private chat. Send me something. Oh, Jason's got one. That's all. You have a question or you got something that Ben's going to have to do? Either one, I'm game to hear it. So let me know what it is here real quick before we run out of time. So we'll give him a minute. It takes a few seconds for what I'm saying to get out there. 257 for hogs. Okay, so short answer is probably. Let me ask you a couple questions here. Let me shut the music down here. Just hold on a second. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. I just got a text. Yes, I see it. Sue, thank you. Sue's letting me know you got a question there, Jason. All right, so it looks like we're going to run over. Not a big deal. As I said, I own the radio station and got kicked off here again. Let's start it up. All right, one of these days we're going to have good internet, and it's not going to keep dropping our channel. So it hasn't happened yet, but something in the works. All right, question. Here we go. 257 for hogs. Short answer, probably so. Couple caveats though. If you're shooting hogs of reasonable size and you have a gun of reasonable power, then absolutely. I mean, I shot a hog with a Walther Max Thor 25 cal. It's 50 foot-pounds. So I mean, it dropped it no problem, but it was a 40-pound, 30 to 40-pound hog. It was a little piglet, really. I mean, it wasn't a big old massive hog. So if you keep your shots reasonable, then I think that's going to be perfectly acceptable. Now, if you're talking about a low-power 257 shooting a 400-pound hog, then absolutely not. But if you've got the Texan 257, I don't know what it's pushing for energy, but probably pretty serious energy. And you are got a decent shot, probably 100, 200-pound hog. I don't see why you'd have a problem with that. I'd headshot it. The Escape. What's it doing for energy? Probably the Escape is doing 45, 50 foot-pounds, I'm thinking. Is that right? Or is that the one that's doing 80 or 90? Let's see here. Let me see if I can pull that up. So we're talking about the Air Force Escape. .257. Okay, Air Force Escape. Well, they have a couple. We need to know if it's shooting the 25 Escape is doing. Let's see here. No, you're in the serious foot-pounds. You're in the 100 foot-pounds range. You're fine. My general rule of thumb. General. I say general because it's general. I used to say 1 foot-pound of energy per 1 pound of game, and really, I'm kind of going with 2 foot-pounds of energy to 1 pound a game, and that's just for a margin of error. Obviously, if you get a clean headshot and drill it right between the eyes with 100 foot-pounds, you're going to do all right. You're going to do just fine. If it flinches and moves and you clip it and you don't get it clean, or you go for a vital shot and you hit too far back and you miss the vitals and you gut shot it, it's not going to have enough energy to do anything. So that's my only concern. Make sure you take a clean shot and you should be fine. So 257 is probably going to have great range, good velocity, but you're going to have to be super precise with your shots. So that's going to be really on you as an ethical hunter. You're going to want to make sure that, if you're going for a headshot, you got to hit something the size of a quarter, tack it behind the ear. It's a very, very small space, and just you got to be able to hit it. So that's kind of the short answer. 257, depending on the hog, probably it's fine. But you need to make sure you take the right shot, have the right gear, with the right accuracy, right consistency, etc., etc., etc. So, but you do all that, you should be fine. I don't see a problem with it. Especially if you're doing that 100 foot-pounds. That's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy. So get a nice heavy bullet, maybe one that's got some good, solid lead that expands or something. You don't really need an expanding bullet, but anyway, you should be fine. Well, guys, if there's no other questions to say, we can go ahead and wrap this up. I guess that should be about it. You say that, Jason, and you got me thinking now. I have in the shop, I think it's a 25. I've got a 25 caliber. I've got a 25 caliber Rex P with the stock extension. That is such a fun little gun. I'm gonna have to take it out now. See what you've done? I'm gonna have to go pull that out of the shed somewhere. So I'll get that out and play with it. I think my sister would probably like that for clearing out rabbits out of the garden. Anyway, all right, guys, that's gonna do it for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming up here and hanging out with us. And yeah, Angie's talking about. Let me just address that real quick. Actually got into a conversation. First of all, let me just say this. If you guys aren't seeing this on the screen, let me talk about it. And Angie, hang on there with me. By the way, Angie, you know, I think you've got Skype. Next time, maybe I'll just pull you up and you can talk for a while and put you in the hot seat for a little bit. That'll be fun. Because you're part of the AirgunWeb team. That would be a lot of cool times. We can throw you under the bus and back up and run you over again. We'll have a good time with it. Anyway, so Angie's talking about people shooting hogs with a 22 caliber Gamo Swarm. Yeah, they're small hogs, perfect shots, etc. Here's what I'm gonna ask. What are they not showing you? So, what footage are they getting that isn't a perfect shot, that isn't showing the pig dying quickly, that isn't showing, you know, that perfect little thing? What aren't they showing you? And that's really the question. So when I see these things online, and there was way back in the day, there was the guy with the Gamo Hunter Extreme shooting a pig with PBA ammo and, you know, 1,600 feet per second and 177. And I wonder how many people took their BB guns out there, and I say BB guns on purpose, and tried to duplicate that shot and wound up just wounding stuff. This is why I caution this kind of behavior. And this is why I won't do it. I mean, I really don't want to take a shot that I'm not certain, or at least have a reasonable certainty that I'm going to be successful with it. Now, there are times I go hunt in a high fence for testing purposes, and the reason I hunt there is, one, I need to get footage. It's what I'm there to do. And two, I'm usually testing something. And when you go to test something, pardon me, when you go to test something, it doesn't always work out. So at least if I'm testing in a sort of controlled environment, if there is a wounding, I'm able to go and then deal with it so that I own that kill. That's going to go in the cooler. It's going to go feed people. It's not just going to go run off somewhere and die a slow, painful death. Not anything I want to do. And so I've seen some stuff where I thought for sure that that pig should have dropped, and it just walked away. And, you know, I hate that. So the last thing I want to see is people being encouraged online that don't put the time into planning the shot, that don't put the time into knowing their gear, that don't put the time into the things that need to happen to have a clean, successful, ethical kill. And they go out and try and do this stuff because they've been encouraged to do so. And then you have a bunch of wounding out there. That is not what the industry needs at any level. Not at all. So if you can hear in my voice, it's something I'm kind of concerned about, and it's something I'm pretty passionate about. And Angie sort of knows. She's kind of new into the hunting thing, and she's had some success, and she's had some frustration. Zombie prairie dogs. Yes, they are. I've actually, I've done some prairie dog hunting, and those are tough little boogers. And even when you hit them with something pretty stout, they just keep coming. But Angie's had some success, and she's had some frustrations. And other people that are new to air guns, they're used to hunting with bows, or they're used to hunting with firearms, and you know they hit it and expect it to drop, and it doesn't. And you know they didn't plan the shot, or it was too far away, or the pig moved, or they didn't account for flight time, or this, that, or whatever. Their gun wasn't perfectly sighted, or they, you know, all these different things that come into the equation, or just in the heat of the moment, they just don't make the shot. I mean, I've done it. You know, I'm big enough to say that I've made some mistakes, and it tears me up when I see an animal that I didn't have the shot planned right, or I got in a hurry, and that's why I prefer, when I'm doing this kind of testing or this, I prefer to hunt a high fence, because I know I'm going to be able to finish the job that way. But if I'm out in the wild and I know that there is no recovery that's going to happen if this thing gets in the swamp that's 5 feet away from it, I'm going to be a lot more cautious, and I'm certainly not going to take a 22 caliber break barrel out to take a big hog. I'm going to be grabbing my TC-45 with 400 foot-pounds and the 350 grain slug. So when I drill it right between the running lights, most of its head's going to be pushed out its butt. That's really kind of the hunting I want to do, because I don't want it to go anywhere. When I'm done, I don't want to be traipsing in the mud and muck in the woods, and I want to go over, pick it up, throw it in the truck, and call it a day. So for me personally, I want to use something that's more than enough to get the job done, so that I have the margin of error on my side. And I do not personally want to encourage people to do anything other than that. Because if you're inexperienced going out there trying to take game, you're going to have more failure than success until you get the experience. And I'd rather you have the right tools for the job while you're getting that experience, so that you have a shorter learning curve to get to the place where you're far more consistent. So it's my 2 cents on that. Yes, these guys are coming out here with some great comments. Shot placement's super important. Jason's talking about the zombie prairie dogs that you hit them a bunch of times and they just keep moving. It happens. It'd be great, if you have that perfect shot that just snaps their spine, takes their head off, whatever. I hate seeing that kind of stuff happen. That's why shot placement is critical. Having more than enough gun, I think, also is really important when you're taking bigger game. For me, I remember, and I'm way over time here, hope you guys don't mind. For me, I remember when I took my first large animal. I'm in the woods, high fence hunting, and I have this Sniper X2 and 45 cal shooting round ball, and I know I'm dead nuts at 60 yards, and I have a guide with me, and we're kind of going through the woods, and this one pig presents, and it wasn't a perfect shot, but he said, he told me where to shoot it, and I set up, and I took the shot, and I drilled it perfect. It squealed, went about 20 yards, fell over, and it was done. That's what I want to be accustomed to moving forward, and I really sought to duplicate that with all of my future hunts. But the sense of responsibility that came over me personally, as I was sighting on this animal that did not know it was about to become dinner, is about 60 or 70 pounds. It's a big living thing. I didn't want to take a shot that would just send it off into the woods to die slowly. Now again, I was hunting in the high fence. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but nevertheless, I didn't want to put that animal through that. Later that hunt, I'll tell you a story. Later that hunt, I was testing a gun, and I'll tell you what it was. It was the Dragon Claw, actually. Hold on just a minute. I had to take a drink. All right. So later that hunt, I had this very successful hunt with the X2. That same trip, I had a contract to do the video. You guys can see the video I took the hog with the airbolt, the 50 cal. Phenomenal. Most lethal thing I probably ever shot. That thing was just incredibly awesome. But before I used the airbolt, I had this Dragon Claw. It's the Dragon Claw, guys. It's a 50 cal Dragon Claw. This was the thing. Animals looked at it and fell over dead. I mean, that was my perception of what would happen with the Dragon. You take it out in the woods and game just falls out of the tree dead because it's the Dragon Claw. So I take it out there and I'm shooting the something or other. It's a thick pellet, 350 grain, just a monster pellet, and was reasonably accurate with it. 50 yards, shooting, 1.5 to 2 inch group. So it was pretty good to go. Took it out there. There was a big pig that was in that pen. It was probably 180 pounds. Big for me. I mean, that's not like really a big pig, but pretty good sized pig. And this thing actually, we kind of snuck up on it, and it jumped up and started to actually charge us. And I'll tell you, you want to get your blood going. Have a pig that's pissed off and tusks flaring come at you full speed, and that'll get your adrenaline going. And I'm the only one with a gun, and my guides are like freaking out, and it was pretty hilarious at the time. At least after we watched it, it was kind of funny. At the time, it was sort of exhilarating, and I just pulled up and pulled the trigger, just something. And if you know the Dragon Claw, it's single shot, so really quick fumble around for the next bullet. And fortunately, the sound scared it, and it went the other direction. Well, I wound up tagging that hog because we came up on him a couple times, and it kept wanting to come at us. And one of the times I clipped him and didn't hit him clean, and I knew at that point I had hit him because he squealed and he didn't drop. I'm thinking, what the heck's going on here? So we're coming up on him, and now it's a challenge to get this pig now, and he's running across an open patch. And I'm leading him, and I actually hit him on the run, hit him a little back, and hit him in his back, hit him in his hips, and he just kept going. And eventually, I got another about 70 yards out. He gave me sort of a profile. I hit him again, and he didn't go down. He was moving slow now. I mean, he was hurt bad, and so I got up again a little closer and was able to take another shot, and that one did it. But here's a pretty large animal that I thought I had the gun to do the job, and it took 4 or 5 hits out of this thing to finally bring this big old pig down. And it was, I did not like that. That was not at all what I had in my mind signed up to do. So I had on that one trip, I had this super awesome success, and then I had this really sort of disheartening experience that I never wanted to duplicate that again. I really sought to not have that happen again. Wanted to make sure that I take the right shot with the right gear, with the right distance, and if it's not the right shot, I just don't take the shot, which is hard to do when you've got it lined up and you so desperately want to pull the trigger. But just one of the lessons I've learned. When it came to shooting the air bolt out of that 50 cal, however, that was a whole nother ball game. That was amazing. I hit that pig. I just hit him perfect, and he went 50 yards and went to pig heaven. That was it. And the guides were with me, and they were like, wow, that was awesome. So obviously they were pretty impressed with it. I was pretty impressed with it. So in that capacity, awesome. And probably if I was more experienced and knew better what I was doing at the time, other than being my second big game kill, I probably would have been just fine with the Dragon Claw. But I have to gain that experience, and I've learned it over the years. I got one last comment here, and then we've got another person that's joined us here. Let's see. Ian says, animals don't know when they've been shot. All they hear is a noise, and they don't know what that is either. Many an animal have been shot, and they run. Pure adrenaline at that point. I took a deer with a 12 gauge slug at 30 yards, and it just walked away. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what these things will do. Didn't run or trot. I thought I missed it until I went out and looked for a blood trail. No blood either. So I walked. And they went, and not even 20 yards from I shot her. She was lying there dead. Perfect heart and lung shot. Absolutely true. It's amazing what their systems, the mechanics of their bodily functions can do when, frankly, it shouldn't have any capacity to do so. I think that goes back to the zombie prairie dogs. Anyway, guys, I am going to go ahead and wrap it up now. We're a little bit over time. I hope you guys have enjoyed this kind of talk. Look, here's the schedule. The second to last Friday of every month, we're going to be doing this show. Now, let me look at the calendar real quick here. I may actually have to publish something. I'll look at it later, I guess. I'm trying to find my calendar here. Let's see here. Because we're going to be out of town next week. No, not next week. Next month. We're going out of town in May. Let's see here. That's not what I wanted. Let's try again here. That's what I wanted. Okay. So calendar, let's see what we got here. That's April. That's not it. May. We want to go to May. How do we go to May? Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted at all. All right, you guys don't need to be here while I learn how to make this thing do something. I just want to go to the next stinking month, guys. I go down. No. Go here, and then I go down. No. Oh, I'm in May here. All right, I'm trying to find the last Friday in May. This is not helping me. Month. Oh, I got it. Haha. Swipe. I have to swipe in a particular way, and then it will work. All right, so we're going to look here. In May, April, May. Come on, one more month. There we go now. All right, May, here it is. All right, so we've got the 24th is going to be our next show. And I believe, let's see, the 24th is our next show, with the 31st being our episode for the month. And I don't know if Sue's got her calendar there, but I'm thinking in May, will we be back by then? I'm trying to think of, no, we won't. So we'll either do the show from the road in May, or we will pre-record something and just post it up on the day. So anyway, so it looks like Jason's going to send me some stuff. He's good friends with Joe. That's very cool. Guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for our next episode coming up next month. We'll either do it live from the road, or I'll get Ben or Angie or myself, or we'll pre-record something and throw it up there so you guys can have something to listen to. We'll just do it like it's a pre-recorded show. But in any case, watch our next episode coming out next Friday of AirgunWebTV. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to the channels, please do, because we could use all the subscribers and all the views and all the folks watching that we can. It's good for us, it's good for the sport, good for our sponsors. And if we didn't have the sponsors, we wouldn't be able to be here. So that's going to wrap it up, you guys. So thanks for everything. Thanks for watching, and hope you guys have a absolutely great weekend. Thanks, guys.